Pakistan's former military ruler Pervez Musharraf has died. He was 79 years old, living in exile in Dubai since 2016. His body is being brought to Pakistan for the last rites. Condolences have been issued, but the former president and former army chief will not get a state funeral. He died waiting to return home, and now his homeland won't bury him with the honor that he thought he deserved. Those who followed Musharraf's story would say he's reaping what he sowed. As army chief, he led the Kargil war against India. He is infamous for not having taken back the bodies of the Pakistani soldiers who died. He denied the most basic courtesy to his soldiers. And he has been paid back in kind. Musharraf's story is worth telling. A story of ambition, deceit, and defeat. A man born in Delhi who went on to become Pakistan's dictator. The man who engineered the Kargil war. The man who had a love-hate relationship with India, well, mostly hate. The man who loved his cigars and imported whiskey. Pervez Musharraf survived a lot. Assassination attempts, a death sentence, an exile from his country. But he couldn't conquer a rare disease called amyloidosis. It hampered the normal functioning of vital organs. Musharraf had a wife and 2 children. None of them lives in Pakistan. The general had a larger-than-life image of himself. He fought 2 wars with India, first in 1965, then in 1971. Pakistan lost both, but that did not stop Pervez Musharraf from feeling proud of himself. A cat with 9 lives, that's what the dictator liked to call himself. Well, even 9 lives were not enough for him. He wanted more. He ruled Pakistan for close to a decade. He deposed Nawaz Sharif as Prime Minister in a dramatic yet bloodless coup. That was in 1999. His rule lasted until 2008. It was a very happening decade for Pakistan. The country witnessed rapid economic growth, but Musharraf's rule did more harm than good. He destroyed whatever was left of democracy in his country. He pursued the policy of state-sponsored terrorism. And today Pakistan is paying the price. Musharraf had a prescription for his country. He called it enlightened moderation. He said that's how Pakistani Muslims should lead their lives. He portrayed himself as a champion of liberal social values. The economy grew under him, but so did terror attacks. Every attack claimed hundreds of lives. The people were horrified. Who can forget the Pakistani army's operation in Islamabad's Red Mosque? It is considered the deadliest fight between the Pakistani army and homegrown terrorists. The operation lasted 9 days. The Islamists were angry. Then Musharraf fired Supreme Court judges. The courts were angry. Soon the people of Pakistan were angry too. By 2007, there were street protests against him. Violence became the order of the day. Former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto was assassinated. There was a marked uptick in anarchy. Musharraf's charade of liberalism fell. In 2007, he blacked out media outlets, suspended the constitution, and removed the country's Chief Justice. It all went downhill for him after that. He faced the threat of impeachment. Finally, he resigned. In 2013, a Pakistani court charged him for the murder of Bhutto. He would later go on to face treason charges. For all his attempts at liberalizing Pakistani society, Musharraf at the end of the day was a dictator. And being a military dictator is not extraordinary in Pakistan, but Musharraf messed up a lot. No wonder Pakistan's leadership has offered token condolences at his demise. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said he was praying for the forgiveness of the deceased and the patience of the family. Pakistan's military offered condolences too. So did Imran Khan's Tehreek-e-Insaf party. In fact, PTI leader Fawad Chaudhry described Musharraf as a great person, someone who kept, quote-unquote, Pakistan first. Wonder why Pakistan was trying to hang him at the gallows then. Musharraf was a supporter of America's war on terror. That's because he needed American dollars. This is what he said during his visit to Washington, D.C. in 2003.
That in search of all the Al-Qaeda operatives who are non-Afghan, non-Pakistani, pretty easy to identify. We have entered, as far on the Pakistani side, an area known as the FATA, the federally administered tribal areas where the government never entered for over a century. This is the first time that the Pakistan Army and our civil armed forces have entered this region, and we are in the process of opening out this region.
Musharraf went into a self-imposed exile in 2016. He couldn't return to Pakistan after that. He was awarded the death sentence in 2019. The sentence was overturned within a month, but it delivered a rather unkind message to him that the country he loved so dearly and was so proud of had turned against him. Musharraf's political career ended in disgrace. That's not the exit that he wanted. So he attempted a comeback in 2013. He tried contesting the elections. Pakistan had other plans for him. He was put under house arrest and barred from contesting polls. That's Musharraf's story in Pakistan. But his legacy stems from his approach towards India. He fought wars and lost. His Kargil campaign ended in disgrace. He dealt with two Indian prime ministers. First, there was Atal Bihari Vajpayee's era, the one which saw the Lahore Declaration being signed, the Wagah bus being launched, and Vajpayee travelling in it himself. India and Pakistan agreed to slow down the arms race and to be careful with their nuclear arsenal. The declaration made many believe that peace was finally on the horizon. But Vajpayee had signed that declaration with Nawaz Sharif, the same prime minister that Musharraf deposed. His Kargil misadventure killed any chance of peace. The beating India gave to Pakistan's military in Kargil left a mark on Musharraf. Pakistan refused any involvement in the war. Musharraf refused to accept the bodies of his soldiers. This was the pits, even by Pakistan standards. And to this day, Pakistan claims its troops were not involved in Kargil, but everyone knows the truth. It was a classic Musharraf mission gone wrong. After Kargil, he made it a point to avoid direct conflict with India. Instead, he began using terrorists. The 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament was a symbol of that shift. Bilateral relations remained rocky. There was a lot of diplomatic engagement. Prime Minister Vajpayee invited Musharraf to Agra in 2001, and Musharraf behaved like a man who just conquered India. He was so full of himself that he single-handedly torpedoed that summit. Jaswant Singh was India's foreign minister then, and let me tell you what he said about the summit. The grandstanding fever had induced Musharraf into a great deal of unrestrained comment. Musharraf declared that there was no terrorism emanating from Pakistan. He repeated this in 2002.
Pakistan does not want war. Pakistan will not be the one to initiate war. We want peace in the region. Let me also assure the world community that Pakistan is doing nothing across the line of control. And Pakistan will never allow the export of terrorism anywhere in the world from within Pakistan.
Musharraf was desperately seeking a settlement on Kashmir, and that desperation convinced India that he lacked sincerity. The Agra summit ended in failure. Then came Manmohan Singh's era, an Indian prime minister born in Pakistani Punjab interacting with a Pakistani dictator born in India. They held 3 meetings. Musharraf proposed a 4-point plan on Kashmir. He said Pakistan would give up its claim on Kashmir and that Kashmir should be a self-governed entity without independence. The plan never materialized. In 2006, Musharraf wanted to set up an anti-terrorism mechanism. 2 years later, 26/11 happened, the Mumbai attacks. Ties between India and Pakistan never recovered after that. Pervez Musharraf is gone, but Pakistan's story remains the same.